Kindness by itself is not enough to survive in this world. If you think being a good person is enough to achieve success, you're living in a fantasy, and the worst part is that you know it, even though you refuse to accept it. How many times have you felt like others are walking all over you? How many times have you done the right thing and instead of receiving recognition, you've been ignored or, even worse, used? You've been taught that being good is enough, that honesty and nobility are rewarded. But the reality is different. The world doesn't reward the good, it rewards those who know how to play their cards well. And this is where Stoicism comes in. Stoicism understood something that most people ignore: human nature is selfish, fickle, and cruel when necessary. The Stoics made it clear that virtue without wisdom is a weakness, that goodness without strategy is a trap. Now, tell me, how many times have you fallen into that trap? Think about those you admire, those who have achieved great things. Do you think they got there only with good intentions? No. They got there because they knew how to move with purpose, because they understood that morality is not an obstacle but a tool. Knowing when to act and when to withhold action is the difference between being a player and being a pawn. The problem is not that you are good. The problem is that you don't know how to protect yourself. You believe that others are playing by the same rules as you, but that's not the case. The world is full of predators disguised as friends, of opportunists who can spot the naive from miles away. And you, without realizing it, have been the perfect target. This is where Stoicism offers you an alternative: intelligent kindness. It's not about becoming a villain. It's not about betraying your principles. It's about understanding that kindness must be accompanied by a deep understanding of reality. It's about learning to read people, to foresee their intentions, to know when to trust and when to keep your guard up. The Stoics taught that it is better to be respected than loved if you cannot be both. And you? What have you chosen? Surely, you've chosen to be loved, to be accepted, to be seen as harmless. But tell me, what have you gained from that? Not respect. Not power. What you've gained is that others know they can use you without consequences. Because kindness without strength doesn't inspire admiration, it inspires pity. Don't get confused. I'm not telling you to stop being good. I'm telling you to learn how to be good without being naive. Understand that the world doesn't reward the just, it rewards the wise. True virtue is not submission but the ability to balance ethics with pragmatism. The Stoics taught that perception is everything. It's not only about what you are, but also about what others perceive you to be. If you give the impression of being weak, they will treat you as weak. If you give the impression of being strong, they will treat you with respect. How many times have you allowed others to disrespect you out of fear of losing their approval? How many times have you stayed silent to avoid conflict only to realize that this makes you lose more than you gain? It's not about being cruel. It's about being strategic. The key is knowing when to act, when to speak, when to retreat, and when to stand firm. Kindness is an advantage when used correctly. But if you let it go unchecked, it becomes your worst enemy. The mistake of many good people is thinking that the world values purity of heart. It doesn't. The world values power, security, and the ability to make tough decisions. Kindness is only respected when it's accompanied by inner strength. If you don't have power, your kindness is irrelevant. The Stoics would tell you not to be a lamb in a world of wolves, not to let your morality turn you into a slave. True virtue is not submission, it's wisdom. It's not about passively adapting but about shaping the environment to your favor. Think about it. How much longer will you let the world walk all over you? How much longer will you be a victim of your own naivety? I'm not telling you to stop being good. I'm telling you to start being good in a way that benefits you. Learn to move with purpose when necessary. Know when to smile and when to show your resolve. Because the world isn't fair. But you can learn to play by its rules and still remain true to yourself. The Stoics didn't teach their philosophy to make you indifferent. They taught it to help you survive and thrive. And now, Tell me, are you going to keep living in the illusion that kindness is enough? Or are you going to start applying true wisdom? People start taking your presence, your effort, and your generosity for granted. And this doesn't just apply to politics or power, it applies to relationships, work, and life itself. When you give too much, you become disposable. When you are always available, you become a resource, not a person of value. Think about it, how many times have you given everything for someone only to have them fail to appreciate it? How many times have you been there for everyone, only to be ignored when you needed help? This isn't an accident, it's human nature. What is abundant is despised. What is scarce is valued. That is why you must learn to regulate your presence, to control your availability, and to manage how others perceive your time and attention. Don't always respond immediately. Don't always be within reach. Make your absence felt. Make your presence meaningful. When you learn to disappear at the right moment, when you learn to regulate your energy, people will start seeking you out. Most people fear stepping back because they think they'll be forgotten. But here's the brutal truth: if your only way of being remembered is by always being present, then you were never truly valuable. The ones who truly have an impact are not those who shout the loudest, but those who understand the power of silence. They know when to withdraw and when to reappear. Look at any great historical figure. The real players are not everywhere, they don't exhaust themselves fighting every battle. They appear when it truly matters, and when they do, everyone pays attention. This leads us to another crucial element: emotional control as a tool of power. This is where most people fail. Many believe control is about aggression, about imposing themselves with force. But true mastery, the kind the Stoics understood better than anyone, is in the absolute control of emotions. The one who loses control, who reacts impulsively, who is carried away by anger or anxiety, becomes predictable, manipulable, and weak. Think about the last time someone made you lose your temper. The moment you got angry, the moment you reacted without thinking, who had the power? It wasn't you. It was the other person, the one who threw you off balance, the one who provoked your reaction. Because the one who controls your emotions controls your actions. Here's the key: the person who cannot be provoked, who remains calm no matter what happens, is the one who truly holds power. Whether in a debate, a negotiation, a relationship, or any social interaction, the one who maintains emotional control always wins. Because the one who controls their emotions controls how others perceive them. The Stoics made it clear: a wise man must act at all times with reason and composure. It's not about not feeling, it's about not being enslaved by those feelings. It's about refusing to be a reactive animal that anyone can manipulate. When you apply this, you become impenetrable. Others may try to provoke you, to get under your skin, but if they can't predict your reaction, they lose control over you. Here's the truth: those who truly dominate are not the strongest. They are the ones who remain calm while everyone else loses their head. And this brings us to the final key: the power of strategic patience. Most people want immediate results. They crave success now, respect now, power now. But what the Stoics taught, what the great strategists of history have always applied, is that true power does not belong to those who act on impulse. It belongs to those who know how to wait for the perfect moment to act. The world is full of people who rush, who act without thinking, who make decisions without considering long-term consequences. But those who truly control the game know how to wait. They observe. They calculate. Think of a hunter. A hunter does not fire at the first sign of movement. They wait. They measure the distance. They study their prey. And only when the moment is right do they strike. This is the game of power. It's not the one who moves first who always wins, it's the one who moves at the right moment. The Stoics said that fortune favors those who adapt to circumstances. It's not about mindlessly pushing forward, it's about knowing when to advance and when to retreat. Mediocre people act on impulse. Strategists wait for their opportunity. Now, ask yourself, Are you the kind of person who rushes in without thinking? Or are you the kind of person who waits, who observes, who acts with precision? Because in this world, power does not belong to the fastest, it belongs to the wisest. To those who understand perception, information, distance, emotional control, and strategic patience. And if you apply all of this, you will stop being a victim of the game and start being a true player. The world is ruthless, but now you will know how to play by its rules. But here's what truly separates those who merely survive from those who dominate, becoming an anomaly in the system. Now you understand, kindness alone isn't enough. Perception is everything. Emotional control is power. Strategic patience outmaneuvers impulsiveness. Scarcity increases value. But what good is all this knowledge if you continue acting like everyone else? If you want different results, you must break free from the traditional rules, not recklessly, but intentionally. Most people think within the limits imposed upon them. They follow expected patterns. They react predictably. But those who truly leave their mark, who change the game in their favor, are the ones who dare to be unpredictable. The ones who rewrite the rules. The ones who act differently, who refuse to be anticipated. The ones who, when they speak, command attention because their words are not cheap. The world is designed to devour those who conform. If you act like the rest, you will get what the rest get: mediocrity, invisibility. The only way to win is to step outside the mold. Be the one who plays differently. Be the one who moves strategically. Be the one who is never entirely understood, never entirely predictable. When you learn this, everything changes. You realize you were never weak, you just weren't playing with the right strategy. You realize people weren't ignoring you because you lacked value, but because you never knew how to project it. But now you do. And that knowledge is dangerous. Because the moment you apply it, there's no turning back. The moment you start controlling your presence, your image, managing information as a tool, using silence as a weapon, you will see the world react differently. The people who once ignored you will start noticing you. Those who underestimated you will begin to wonder what changed. Those who once manipulated you will start to fear making a move against you. Because you are no longer the same. You've stepped into a new understanding, a new awareness of how the world truly operates. You've shed the naivety that once made you an easy target, and now you see the game for what it is, a complex interplay of perception, strategy, and power. You've learned that kindness, while noble, must be tempered with wisdom. You've realized that emotional control is not suppression but mastery, and that patience is not inaction but preparation. Now, you are someone who understands how the game is played. You see the patterns, the moves, the hidden rules that govern success and survival. You recognize that the world doesn't reward good intentions, it rewards those who act with purpose, who move with intention, and who know when to hold back and when to strike. And here's the most important decision you'll ever make: are you going to apply this knowledge, or will you go back to ignorance? Because here's the truth: what separates those who thrive from those who are forgotten isn't knowledge. It's action. You can let this information sit in your mind as an interesting idea, a philosophical musing that you occasionally reflect on but never truly use. You can nod along, agree with the principles, and then return to the same habits that have kept you stuck, overlooked, and undervalued. But understand this: if you continue as before, you are choosing to be ignored. You are choosing to remain invisible. You are choosing to let the world walk over you while you cling to the hope that somehow, someday, your goodness alone will be enough. Or, you can start making small changes today. You can begin to regulate your availability, understanding that your time and energy are finite resources that must be guarded and allocated wisely. You can control your urge to speak too much, recognizing that silence is often more powerful than words. You can respond calmly instead of reacting emotionally, knowing that those who master their emotions hold the real power. You can retreat strategically, understanding that sometimes the most powerful move is to step back and let others reveal their hand. You can observe in silence rather than rush in blindly, gathering information and waiting for the right moment to act. These small actions, practiced consistently, will transform you over time. They will shape you into someone who cannot be ignored, someone who commands respect not through force but through presence, wisdom, and restraint. You will become someone who is no longer predictable, no longer easily manipulated, no longer taken for granted. Because the world doesn't remember those who simply existed. It doesn't honor those who played it safe, who followed the crowd, who clung to the illusion that fairness and goodness alone would carry them through. The world remembers those who knew how to play the game, those who understood the rules, bent them when necessary, and rewrote them when the opportunity arose. So now, tell me, are you ready to play? Are you ready to step out of the shadows and into your power? Are you ready to stop being a passive observer and start being an active participant in your own life? Are you ready to trade the comfort of familiarity for the thrill of growth, the security of silence for the risk of being seen? The choice is yours. But remember, every day you delay, every moment you hesitate, is a day you remain stuck in the same patterns, the same cycles, the same outcomes. The world won't wait for you to catch up. It rewards those who act, who adapt, who seize the moment. So, what will it be? Will you let this knowledge gather dust in your mind, or will you use it to transform your life? Will you remain a pawn, or will you step onto the board as a player? The game is already being played. The only question is, are you ready to